Alright, I kind of have a topic. Let's see if I can stick with it. It's something that I've often been told, which maybe I imagine a lot of you out there can relate to, which I think is just the stupidest thing, I think it's I mean, shit, there's a lot of stupid things. So to call it the stupidest is, not true. It's one of the many stupid things that, that I've been told is that, I'm oversensitive. Let's talk about being oversensitive. I don't know if you watched my last video, but if you didn't, I talked about a lot of things unless it's a mathematical, problem or some kind of scientific thing. The majority of stuff, or a lot of stuff, and society doesn't like to think this way. Society likes to think like this is right, this is wrong, but that's actually not correct. The majority of things are is subjective, and and I'm speaking as a non-religious person, of course, because if I were a religious person, then I'd be talking about whatever moral, quote-unquote morals that that particular religion preached or whatever. So I'm not religious at all. I don't hold any hold to any predetermined set of quote-unquote morals. I think that's pretty much bullshit. I think I'm a good person in this in the aspect of, obviously if you want to talk about quote unquote morals, which I think that's just a dumb word anyway. Obviously, I'm always been an honest person. I think when you lie, you're doing a disservice to yourself, among whoever you're lying, as well as whoever you're lying to. I don't steal. Actually, I always had that notion of not stealing, but not that I have stolen, but in retrospect, I've worked at like video stores and stuff that were like corporate. In retrospect, I probably, if I'd been working there now, I probably would have taken. See, stealing from corporations is different than stealing from people. I wouldn't steal from people. But corporations are, the root of all evil, or part of it. So, in my ever-evolving, whatever, worldview, I wouldn't be so hesitant to steal from a big corporation. As a matter of fact, when I get rung up at Target, and just recently someone, high school kid or whatever, forgot to scan an item, and I noticed it, and I'm not gonna say anything. Are you kidding? Oh, you forgot to scan this. I've had customers do that to me, and I'm thinking, what are you doing? So, I don't even, what the fuck, I don't even remember this is what I'm talking about, branching off. What the fuck was I initially started the video with? God damn it. Oh, I think just about being told you're overly sensitive. So my question is very simple, and this goes back again to the majority rule video I did, which is simply, who are you, or anyone, who is anyone to tell anyone else, that they are overly sensitive? Okay, now it's simple. First of all, overly sensitive, okay, first of all, to be overly sensitive, you have to have something to be measured by. Okay, this is back to where we're talking about the majority rule. So I measured a sensitive person, quote unquote sensitive person, is measured by the majority. Okay, the majority, in my opinion, are insensitive. Could be more more sensitive. But because they're the majority, the level of sensitivity is determined by the average sensitivity of the majority. So if you don't fall under that specific level, let's say 1 out of 10, 10 being sensitive, and if you don't fall in the threes, which is kind of where I'd put the average majority person, then you're overly sensitive. But again, who is anyone to say who is overly sensitive? And it all goes back to, and I bet you if you asked anyone, they'd say, well, compared to other people, you just said it yourself. Compared to other people, compared to the average person, compared to, most people that I know, And I ask again, what does that matter? And it's always majority rule. It always goes back to the same thing. Well, the majority of people, So the majority are insensitive bastards. So therefore we're gonna measure sensitivity, by where the majority stand. It's ridiculous. Obviously, from my perspective, as you probably have already guessed, my opinion of the majority is they're not sensitive enough, which I guess would make sense, as everything is always seen from whatever particular position you come from. Everything outside that position. So I guess someone arguing might ask me, well, why is my thought of the majority being under, not sensitive enough, why is that any more correct than them labeling me oversensitive? And I guess my answer to that would be, I'm not saying I'm correct. I guess my problem is with other people telling other people, I guess I just wouldn't tell them they're undersensitive. I guess is what's different about me. Whereas they continually tell me I'm oversensitive. I think that what's different about me is that I realize that people are different. Being different myself, being an outcast. And I guess knowing that, I let them be. I guess is what's different about me than the majority who would tell me that I need to change. As much as I'd like for the majority to change and become what I would consider sensitive or smart, I have no right, nor do I feel it's any of my business, to tell them, you should try to become smarter, you should try to become more sensitive. It's not my place to tell anyone what to be. For whatever reason, chemical in their brain, or along with life experiences they've experienced, they became who they were going to become. And it's no one's right to tell them, even if I would consider them to be assholes or shit. It's no right for anyone to tell them you should change. And I think that's the difference between me and them, is that I recognize that although, I recognize that people are different, and no one should have the right to tell anyone else they need to change because the majority, they don't fit in with the majority. You have to, in relation to other people, you have to either put up with them or get away from them. You don't have I'm speaking for myself and people who would try to tell me to change. No one has any right to tell anyone to change, or that I guess that's it. And if you don't like it, either quietly put up with it and realize that really, no one is really right or wrong. It's all boils down to what's pleasant. And again, I guess if you want to get into, then that's subjective. Well, what's pleasant? It could get very confusing. But I guess that's my problem, is that I think basically that I've exhausted myself here. We'll leave it at that. I've already said it. No one really has a right to tell anyone else how they should be. And if you particularly have a problem with someone, then you either need to just quietly put up with them, or if you can't put up with them, just get out of there. Get away from them. It's your problem, it's not their problem. If you don't like them, or if you think they are incorrectly living their life or whatever. And that same applies to me, and that's why I don't have any friends. A lot of it, it's not because no one doesn't want anything to do with me, although that's partly the reason. I don't want a lot to do, or I don't want to do much, anything to do with a lot of the people that I've come across. It's not that no one will call me back. It's that a lot of the people that I've actually interacted with and briefly may have known, either they're just lazy, or they don't call you back, or they don't show up, or they're whatever. And people have said I'm too picky. Again, what do you base that on? The majority. Well, that's bullshit. So I took my own advice already years ago, and I thought to myself, okay, I can either put up with these people not calling back, or showing up on time, or showing up at all, or just, basically being whatever they are, lazy bastards, or I can just stop seeing them. So that, in addition to a lot of people not really having an interest in me, which is their right, is why I basically have no friends. So part of it is because that's what I choose, because I'd rather be alone than deal with people who I feel are just, I don't know, who cancel on you if you have plans, or can't show up on time, or show up at all, or never call you back, or just behave in a way that I don't think is respectful of a relationship. To me, it's always been very easy for me to call someone back if I said I would, or show up if I said I would. But again, I have no right to say that they're wrong for doing it. I can either put up with it or not put up with it, and I choose not to put up with it. And I think that's kind of where I am at this point. I've had that same attitude for years and years and years. So I think it says 13:50. So I'm almost out of time, so I guess I pretty much said everything I have to say, so maybe we'll cut it there. Thank you very much for watching, and catch you next time.